Hey there guys, and welcome back to Love Live School Idol Festival. Today I'm bringing you my long-promised team building guide, so that you too can build a sparkling, shining team of adorable waifus for any situation. So let's see what we've got to start out with today, shall we? Oh no. Oh, this is looking pretty awful already. Look, you can't just slap any old team together and expect it to work as a cohesive unit, okay? You need to optimize this stuff, gosh darn it, optimize it! What for, you may ask? Well, there are 5 team slots for a reason, and we do need to fill them all, although the first 3 slots are definitely the most important. There are 3 major attributes used throughout School Idol Festival: Smile, Pure, and Cool. And first and foremost, we need 1 team each to cover these attributes. As for the 4th and 5th slots, you have some options depending on which cards you have and how good at rhythm games you are. We'll get into the details later, but long story short, for the 4th slot, you can have a healer team, a perfect lock team, or a combination of the 2. And for the 5th slot, you want to actually keep a team like this around, because it is actually good to have a random assortment of normal cards available, and I'll tell you why later. For now, let's move on to creating the attribute teams, because that's what you're here to see most likely. Let's start with building ourselves a pure team today, so how would we go about starting that? Well, the game makes it easy to get started at least. You can see that little purple button on the bottom there that says Auto Formation, and that's where we always start. We are going to sort our team automatically by attributes, so we're building a pure team, we're going to pick pure, and that will automatically fill us up with the 9 strongest pure cards that we have. You'd think it would be simple enough to leave it there, but no. There are secret stats working in this game that they don't tell you about outright. And also things that we need to keep into account, like leader skills. Like, let's look at our current leader, Hanayo. Her leader skill is Pure Heart, which increases your pure. Fancy that. But generally speaking, you want your highest rarity card that matches the attribute you're working on to be your center. Because generally speaking, higher rarity cards have higher skills. Pure Empress here is a thing that increases pure based on the amount of cool points on your team. Now that doesn't do much to describe what this card actually does, but long story short, it increases your points by a lot. So, in 99.9% of situations, if you have a higher level card, you use it. If you have SRs as your highest level cards, then you can use an SR as your center. Like if we pretend that this Umi doesn't exist, we can use pretty much any green card on this team as our center, and it won't change because they pretty much all have Pure Heart as their ability. And if you have only rare cards as your highest level cards, then again, a rare card will do. The only thing I need to say is, do not use promo cards as your center. Promo cards, like this Kotori from last Christmas, have rare level skills and rare level leader skills. They will not help you out unless your highest level cards are also rares. So, avoid using these as your center, they will hurt your score. But we don't have any of those on our team just yet, so let's go back to changing our leader around. Let's put Umi in the center and select OK, so Umi's now our center. Are we done yet? Well, no. We still have a non-green card on this team, and we do ideally want a team that is all the same color, all of the attribute that we're working on. So this Nozomi may or may not be out of place. I say may not, because there is a situation where an off-color card might be helpful. So let's have a look, shall we? Let's select Nozomi so we can get to the team select screen. And we're going to pick the button up top here that lets us pick how we organize things. So let's organize based on Pure. That will show us the top cards in the Pure stat. This is what the game has automatically selected for us. All the grayed out cards are on the team right now. And you can see that our Nozomi here has 4,500 pure points. Quite a lot, right? But the game is not all that it seems. So, in order to determine if this Nozomi really is our best option or not, we need to compare her to the next best thing, meaning the next strongest pure card that isn't on the team yet. In that case, that would be this Umi, the Snowy Knight Umi. When we look at this Umi, we can see her raw stat in pure is 4370. But here's the rub. Cards that match the attribute of the song you're playing get a bond bonus when you play that song. So say if we were to use this team to play, say, After School Navigators, all the green cards on the team would get a bonus based on their bond. So if we were to include this Umi on the team, we need to account for that. We're going to take her raw score of 4370 and add her bond of 250 to get a score of 4620. Now, is that higher than 4500? I'd say yes it is. So in this case, we already know that Umi is a better option than Nozomi. So we can take this Nozomi and switch her out for Umi. Are we done yet? I think in most situations, yes, you would be. But in this case, we also have... we do also have this promo card that I was just talking about. And remember how Bond gets added to the score? The promo cards do still have the normal amount of Bond that a UR would have, which means this Kotori gets like an extra 1,000 points. So 4150 plus 1,000 is 5150, meaning that she beats out like every other pure card just automatically. So we do have to include her on the team. We have Umi and Honoka here who are tied in terms of their raw stats, so we can take either of them out pretty much. Let's just pick Honoka. Let's replace Honoka with Kotori since we already went through the trouble of putting Umi on the team. So there we have it, and this is what I would call an optimal team at this point. This is the best that I can do with the cards that I have. And then we repeat the process for our other teams. Auto formation for Smile. We get a Smile team. We have no Smile URs, so we don't have to worry about that. Any of our Smile SRs will do as a center. My personal favorite of these is the Maki, so I'm going to put Maki in the center. And then we're going to select our blue UR Honoka, organize by Smile. And we're going to compare her to this rare Honoka, who has 4060 raw, add 200 bond to get 4260. Oh, she's not as strong as the UR Honoka. Does that mean it's better to keep that UR Honoka then? Well, not necessarily again. There is one more factor to consider, and that is the in-song bonus for notes that hit cards that are the same color as the notes. Say we're playing love novels, and the notes are coming in, they're all pink Smile notes, and they're hitting all our members, and all of those Smile cards are getting a 10% bonus every time a note hits them. 10% bonus to their score. Now, this Honoka is not a Smile card, and would not get the bonus. So, generally speaking, this is sort of fuzzy math since the number of notes per song is not consistent, but generally speaking, if you account for bond and everything, and then multiply the stat of the card by 1.1, that's basically increasing it by 10%, you will get the average, like, practical score of the card. So this Honoka, if she is 4060, 4260 with bond, and we multiply that by 1.1, she now reaches a score of 4686. And if we go back to compare her, that is now higher than this Honoka's 4530. Not by a lot, but by just enough that I would consider replacing her. And it also doesn't hurt that this Honoka has Rhythmical Charm level 6. Normally you don't pay that much attention to skills when you're building a team because honestly they usually don't make up for the lack in stats on a card. but it is certainly nice. It is certainly nice if you have a good skill. So there you have it. To sum up, the order of operations for team building in an attribute. Auto formation. Pick your center. Check for off-color cards. If there are off-color cards, do any on-color cards with bond beat them? If not, do they beat them with bond plus a 10% bonus? If not, keep the on-color card. If yes to either of those, replace the card. Keep going until you have a team that is either all of the same attribute, or you're sure that any off-color cards you have are the most optimal ones you can be using. What you want to do with any off-color cards that you have is move them as far to the edges of the circle as possible. This isn't true for all songs, but it is true for most. Most of the notes will be coming on circles that are lower on the circle, not as many are going on the edges. So that means more of your cards will be getting their bonus during the song than not. So yeah, at this point you're basically done. That's how you build your attribute teams. The only things to say pretty much after this are that if you have multiple UR cards with different leader skills, then you might have to math it out and figure out which one gives you a better bonus on average. Like in my case, I have one with Cool Angel, which increases Cool based on Pure, and one that bases Cool on Smile. In this case, my team does have a stronger Pure stat than a Smile stat, so in my case, it is better to keep Nozomi as the leader than it would be to use Honoka. But let's say you have some other URs. Say you have a UR that says increases the stat drastically, as opposed to something like this or this. Which one would be better in that case? What the drastically ones are doing is increasing your total team's stat by 9% of the total in that stat. So say we have 41,680 in Cool on this team. If we had a UR that increased our stat drastically, it would increase it by 9%, so it would boost our stat to about 45,431. What the other skills do is increase your stat by 12% of the stat that they refer to. So basically this Nozomi card would take 12% of the pure stat, add that to our cool stat, and we get 45,644. So yeah, that's how that works. Just do the math, figure out which one would be better, or it doesn't even really matter that much in the end. Just pick whichever one you like best if you really don't feel like giving a crap about it. And the only other thing I'll say about attribute team building is, generally speaking, don't worry about the skills of the cards, like I said. If the card is lacking stats, it's lacking stats, and there's not much you're going to be able to do to fix that. A card would have to have like an insanely good skill in order to make up for a lack of stats. The only really situations where skill deciding comes into play is, say, again, if we're trying to decide between something like the Umi and the Honoka from before, like they both have the same pure stat, so, and they were vying for the last spot on the team, so in this case we could decide which one we want based on whichever skill we think is better, but that would require so much math for so little gain that it's really not worth giving your time and attention to. I guess you could try and like do a few test songs and see which team configuration gives you better scores overall, but honestly, again, it's not really worth the effort for the gain that it gets you, so pretty much almost all the time, don't worry about skills, don't worry about that stuff, just pick the ones you like if you're like really unsure about picking between cards. Okay. Done with the attribute cards. We can do the last two pretty quickly. For the fourth slot, again, like I said, you can do a healer team, a perfect lock team, or a hybrid of the two. Honestly, getting enough perfect lock cards to make a perfect lock team requires a whole lot of luck, so you probably won't be able to make one unless you've got a ton of SR cards. So your best option is usually to go for a healer team. You can get a bunch of these, like, rare green cards when you're starting out the game that have healing abilities, and it's pretty easy to build up enough of them to build up a healer team. And if you really, really are bad at the higher level difficulty songs, like I sometimes am at certain expert songs, then having a team of healers will give you a much, much better chance of at least surviving to the end of the song long enough to get the rewards for clearing that song. So, I don't know. Healer teams are useful. I like having them. But if you're good enough at the game that your problem is not so much that you're failing songs, but more like you're not keeping your combo or something, then a perfect block team might be better for you. If you feel like your skill is kind of in between those 2 points, or you're thinking like, well, I might fail the song, but I also think I can get a good combo going or something like that, I don't know. You can throw a couple of perfect blockers on a healing team and have like a hybrid team. I had a hybrid team for a while, but now my smile team is actually so full of perfect blockers that it might as well be a perfect block team, so I don't really need it anymore. So yeah. General advice, I would recommend a healer team. If you want, you can use a perfect blocker team. If you really want, you can fill both of these slots with one of each. But honestly, I would recommend keeping around a team of normals because it is useful for events and for leveling up and, I don't know, just for keeping around your normals and having something to do. I don't know. Lots of normal cards are cute and I like to hang on to them. But they are useful because, say, we're in an event right now, we're in a score match event. My EXP bar doesn't show this very well, but pretend my EXP bar is like close to leveling up. Let's say like 100 points away from leveling up. My LP bar is full. What happens if I level up and I get that free LP bar refresh? But what's that worth when I was almost near full anyway? It would have been much more useful if, like, I was near out, and then I leveled up and got the free refill. So, if I tried to do that with a regular team, then I would level up and I would be out of luck. But if I do this with a normal team, then I can actually get half the EXP that you would normally get. If you play with a weak-ass team, you actually get half EXP. Anything scoring under a C on a song gets you half EXP. Which means you can get more rewards and more points playing in events, yeah, just by using your normal team. Okay, so yes, we will get last place for that, certainly. But, well, there is also an advantage to that too that I'll tell you in a second. And the advantage to coming in last with this team, actually, is in a score match specifically, you're matched up with people based on your team strength for the last 4 matches. So, if your team is generally very high, you'll be matched up against very high people. But say if you play one match with a team like this, that will bring your average team strength way down. So you'll probably, next round, get to play against not quite as strong people and be likely to come in first place for the next 3 or 4 songs or so. So that can work out to your advantage in a score match. Depending on what you usually place in matches like that, it could work out to higher points overall. So yeah, I think that's basically all I had to say about team building. Hopefully that helps. If you have any more questions about teams or like specific situations you want to ask about that aren't covered here, feel free to ask in the comments. Let me know what other videos you want to see about Love Live, and also if I look depressed, did something happen? Oh. Thank you for worrying, Akira. That's why I like you. Yeah, good morning. Good morning, everybody, and bye! See you again.